Alone on a deserted highway, a pregnant woman finds herself surrounded by a ruthless biker gang. What they don't know? Her husband is a retired Special Forces commander who will stop at nothing to protect his family. The night takes a turn they'll never forget. Will she survive the relentless pursuit, or will her husband's past be the key to their salvation? Stay tuned to find out. The soft hum of the engine filled the air as Maya adjusted her rearview mirror. The vast highway stretched endlessly ahead, framed by the deep orange hues of the setting sun. She glanced at the empty passenger seat, her hand instinctively moving to her rounded belly. The baby kicked softly, almost as if reassuring her. A smile tugged at her lips, but it faded quickly. Her husband, Ethan, had insisted she take the main roads, but she had dismissed his worries. Now, with dusk settling and the road eerily deserted, a flicker of unease crept into her thoughts. Her heart skipped when she noticed a group of motorcycles in the distance. At first, they were just dots, blending into the horizon, but their rapid approach made her grip the steering wheel tighter. The rhythmic roar of their engines grew louder, filling the air with a threatening vibration. Maya swallowed hard, her pulse quickening. Within moments, the bikers flanked her SUV, their leather jackets and dark helmets blending into the shadows. One rider pulled up beside her window, tilting his head to peer inside. His grin was visible even through his helmet's visor. Another biker moved directly in front of her, slowing down and forcing her to hit the brakes. Panic surged. Her phone lay on the console, but the screen mocked her with a no-service icon. She couldn't call Ethan. She couldn't call anyone. "What do you want?" she shouted, her voice trembling but laced with defiance. The leader of the group, a broad-shouldered man with a scar running down his cheek, motioned for her to pull over. Maya's mind raced. Stopping here, on a desolate stretch of road miles from the nearest town, was not an option. She pressed harder on the gas, hoping to speed away, but the bikers closed ranks, hemming her in. "Don't make this harder, lady," the leader yelled over the roar of the bikes, his chain swinging ominously as he drew closer. Maya's eyes darted around, searching for an escape. Then, with a sharp intake of breath, she yanked the wheel to the right, sending her SUV careening onto a gravel path that led into the dense forest. The bikers' laughter echoed behind her, their engines roaring as they gave chase. The narrow trail was treacherous. Branches scraped against her windows, and the wheels kicked up clouds of dust and loose stones. The baby stirred inside her, and she whispered, "It's okay. I'll get us out of this." But deep down, she wasn't sure how. She hit a dead end, a clearing surrounded by towering trees. Slamming the brakes, Maya jumped out of the SUV, her hand instinctively cradling her stomach. She scanned the area for anything to defend herself and spotted a rusted tire iron in the trunk. Her hand closed around it just as the bikers roared into the clearing, circling her like predators toying with their prey. The leader dismounted, his boots crunching on the gravel as he approached. He swung his chain casually, his eyes narrowing. "You made this fun," he sneered, pulling off his helmet. "But the game ends here." Maya gripped the tire iron, her knuckles white. "Stay back," she warned, her voice steady despite the terror clawing at her chest. The leader chuckled, his gang laughing behind him. "What are you going to do with that? Come on, lady, don't make this harder than it needs to be." The baby shifted again, as if sensing the danger. Maya planted her feet, her resolve hardening. "You don't know who you're messing with," she said firmly, raising the tire iron. The leader's smirk faltered for just a second, but he quickly recovered. "Oh, we'll see about that." Before he could take another step, the faint sound of a vehicle approaching from behind made everyone freeze. The bikers turned their heads, their confidence wavering. Maya's heart leapt. She didn't need to see the truck to know who it was. Ethan had arrived. Ethan stepped out of the truck, his boots crunching against the gravel. His face was calm, almost too calm, but his eyes burned with a quiet fury that sent a chill through the clearing. He had shed his civilian demeanor the moment he saw the chaos unfolding, slipping effortlessly back into the mindset he thought he'd left behind. The leader of the bikers, still holding his chain, turned to face him. "You're late to the party, old man," he sneered, though his bravado faltered as Ethan's imposing figure came into full view. Ethan's eyes flicked to Maya, noting the way she held the tire iron like her life depended on it. He gave her a barely perceptible nod before turning his attention back to the gang. "You've got one chance to leave," he said evenly, his voice low but carrying a weight that made the air feel heavy. "Take it." The bikers exchanged uncertain glances. Their leader, however, refused to back down. He swung his chain in a lazy arc, his confidence returning. "What, you think you're some kind of hero? This isn't a movie, pal." Ethan didn't respond. Instead, he reached into the bed of his truck and pulled out a crowbar. It wasn't flashy, but it would do. He stepped forward, his movements measured and deliberate. "You made a mistake coming after my wife." The leader laughed, though it sounded forced. "Your wife? What's so special about her? We were just here for a little fun." Ethan's jaw tightened. "Fun's over." Before the leader could reply, Ethan lunged. The crowbar connected with the chain mid-swing, yanking it out of the biker's grip. The leader stumbled back, caught off guard by the sheer force. The other bikers hesitated, their cocky demeanor evaporating as they watched Ethan move with deadly precision. The first attacker came at him with a knife, but Ethan sidestepped effortlessly, twisting the man's arm and sending the blade clattering to the ground. A quick jab to the ribs sent him sprawling. Another biker charged with a wrench, but Ethan ducked under the swing and delivered a swift kick to the knee, dropping him instantly. "Stay down," Ethan barked, his voice as sharp as the crack of bones. The remaining bikers began to reconsider their odds, inching back toward their bikes. The leader, furious and humiliated, pulled a pistol from his waistband. "That's enough," he roared, pointing it at Ethan. Maya's heart stopped. "Ethan, no!" she cried, taking a step forward. But Ethan didn't flinch. His eyes locked onto the leader's, his stance steady. "You don't have the guts," he said coldly, taking a slow step closer. "Because if you did, you wouldn't need a gang to feel powerful." The leader's hand wavered for a split second, but it was enough. Ethan closed the distance in 2 strides, disarming him with a brutal twist of the wrist. The gun clattered to the ground, and before the leader could react, Ethan had him pinned against the side of the SUV, his forearm pressing hard against his throat. "Who sent you?" Ethan growled, his voice deadly. The leader gasped, clawing at Ethan's arm. I don't know," he stammered. "It was just a job. Someone paid us cash, said to find the car and scare the driver." Ethan's grip tightened. "Who?" "I swear I don't know," the leader choked out. "Just a guy on the phone. He didn't give a name." Ethan stared at him for a long moment, weighing his words. Finally, he released the man, letting him collapse to the ground. "Get your crew and get out," he ordered, his tone leaving no room for argument. "If I ever see you near my family again, you won't walk away." The bikers scrambled to their feet, dragging their injured comrades as they mounted their motorcycles. The leader shot Ethan a venomous glare but said nothing as he climbed onto his bike. Within seconds, the clearing was filled with the fading roar of engines as they disappeared into the woods. Maya dropped the tire iron, her legs giving way as the adrenaline drained from her body. Ethan rushed to her side, pulling her into his arms. "Are you okay?" he asked, his voice soft now. She nodded, though tears streamed down her face. "I was so scared," she whispered. "They knew about me, Ethan. This wasn't random." Ethan's jaw clenched as he held her close. "I know," he said quietly, "and I'm going to find out why." The silence after the bikers fled was deafening, broken only by the faint rustle of leaves in the cool night breeze. Ethan helped Maya back into the SUV, her breathing still shaky but steadying. "We're going home," he said firmly, his voice filled with quiet resolve. "But this isn't over." Maya didn't argue. She trusted him, even as unease churned in her chest. As Ethan started the engine and drove, his eyes darted to the mirrors every few seconds. His mind was already racing, piecing together the fragments of what had just happened. The bikers weren't acting alone, that much was certain. Someone had orchestrated this, and he needed to know why. Back at their modest home, Ethan immediately went into action. He locked every door, secured the windows, and retrieved a black duffel bag from the back of the closet. Maya sat on the couch, her hands resting protectively over her belly, watching him with a mix of fear and admiration. "Ethan," she said softly, breaking the tense silence, "you need to tell me what's going on." He stopped, the duffel bag half open, revealing weapons and tools that she hadn't seen in years. He sighed, sitting beside her. "Someone's targeting us, Maya, and it's not random. This has to do with my past." Her eyes searched his face. "You've been retired for years. Who would still be after you?" "That's what I need to find out," he said, his jaw tightening. "But I have a suspicion." He pulled out an old encrypted phone from the bag and powered it on. The screen flickered to life, displaying only one contact. Ghost. He hesitated, then dialed the number. It rang twice before a gruff voice answered. "Commander," the voice said, equal parts surprise and familiarity. "Didn't think I'd hear from you again." "Ghost, I need intel," Ethan replied, his tone clipped. "Tonight a gang of bikers cornered my wife. They admitted they were hired. No names, just cash. I need to know who's behind it." There was a pause on the other end. "That's a big ask, Ethan. You sure you want to open this door again?" "I don't have a choice," Ethan said firmly. "Whoever this is, they're not going to stop." Ghost sighed. "All right, I'll dig. But if they're using hired muscle like bikers, they're staying off-grid. This won't be easy." "It never is," Ethan said, ending the call. Maya placed a hand on his arm. "What now?" "We wait," he said, though the tension in his body told her he wouldn't rest until he had answers. The next morning, Ethan's phone buzzed. The message was brief but chilling. Logan Cross. Alive. He knows. Ethan stared at the name, his blood running cold. Logan Cross was a ghost from his past, a former mercenary he had worked with on a mission that had gone catastrophically wrong. Logan had been left behind, presumed dead, but now it seemed he had survived, and he was seeking revenge. Ethan clenched his fists, the memories flooding back. He had made peace with the decisions of his past, or so he thought. But Logan's return changed everything. This wasn't just about him anymore, it was about his family. "Who is Logan Cross?" Maya asked, her voice steady but tinged with fear. "Someone I thought I'd never see again," Ethan admitted. "He's dangerous, Maya, and he's coming for us." She gripped his hand. "Then we'll face him, together." Ethan nodded, though he knew the battle ahead would be his to fight. "I need to set a trap," he said. "If Logan wants me, I'll make sure he gets me, on my terms." By nightfall, their property was a fortress. Ethan had rigged the perimeter with cameras and motion sensors, the tools of a man who knew how to defend and attack. He stayed by the window, his sharp eyes scanning the darkness. Maya sat nearby, her hand resting on her belly, her trust in him unwavering. Just after midnight, the sound of motorcycles echoed in the distance. Maya's heart jumped as Ethan straightened, his muscles taut with readiness. "They're here," he said quietly. The gang arrived in the driveway, their headlights cutting through the night. At the center of the group was Logan Cross, stepping off his bike with an air of authority. His face was gaunt, his eyes cold and calculating. He carried himself like a man who had nothing to lose. "Ethan," Logan called out, his voice carrying over the stillness. "It's time to settle this." Ethan stepped out onto the porch, his silhouette calm and unyielding. "You should have stayed dead, Logan." Logan laughed, though it was devoid of humor. "And miss this reunion? Not a chance. You left me to die, Ethan. Now it's your turn to pay." The bikers surrounded the house, but Ethan didn't flinch. "This ends tonight," he said, his voice steady. "Walk away now or you won't get the chance." Logan's smile faded. "We both know I'm not leaving without a fight." The tension snapped like a wire as Logan charged, and the two men collided in a brutal primal fight. Logan's rage was raw and unrestrained, but Ethan's precision and training gave him the edge. Every move was calculated, every strike deliberate. Maya watched from the window, her breath caught in her throat as the fight raged on. The bikers hesitated, unsure whether to intervene. Finally, Ethan pinned Logan to the ground, his forearm pressing against his throat. "It's over," he growled. Logan spat blood, his eyes blazing with hatred. "This doesn't end here. You'll always be looking over your shoulder." "Maybe," Ethan said, his voice cold, "but you won't be around to see it." The distant sound of sirens grew louder. Ethan glanced up, his trap now fully sprung. The bikers scrambled to their bikes, but the police arrived before they could escape. Logan was dragged away in cuffs, his threats echoing in the night. Ethan returned to the house where Maya stood waiting. She threw her arms around him, tears streaming down her face. "It's over," she whispered. "For now," Ethan replied, holding her close. "But I'll always protect you. Always." If you were gripped by this heart-pounding story of resilience, courage, and redemption, make sure to give this video a thumbs up and share it with your friends. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button for more thrilling tales like this one, and ring the bell icon so you never miss an update. Let us know in the comments, what would you do in a situation like this? Until next time, stay safe and stay strong.